Hey guys, welcome to the Provokers Podcast, where we talk about things that you probably should too. Today I'm joined by...
I'm John, or Jeebins Phoebens.
And I am your host, once again, for today's episode, Ethan, otherwise known as Flabdexy Gaming. And if you notice the episode number, it's once again a serious episode, so yippee! Now, the running joke on this podcast is that for some stupid reason, I have done, okay, let's see, it was 8, yeah, because John did 2, so it was 8 in Season 1, and then I've done every single one for Season 2 so far. So, what is that? I think this is episode 50 or 60? How far are we actually? I need to know this information. I think this one's 60. I think we're already in the, I think we're already in the 50s. Yeah, so this is episode 60. So I've done 8 in season 1, and then all 6 in season 2, which is pretty insane. So that's a total of like 14 different serious topic episodes out of the. If I'm only missing 2, it'd be 16. So crazy. Yeah. So that's kind of like the running joke in this podcast that I'm doing the serious topic, and once again it happened. Yeah, I don't know. But this time, obviously, it's a bit more, like, I don't know, potent's the word I'd use, because of, obviously, someone isn't here. So now it's kind of just, me and John flip-flopping. So, I mean, but if anything, that could mean that John has more of a chance to have it happen to him. So, you know, it kind of works both ways. But unfortunately, it's me again, so here we are. But before we get into the actual topic, we have some small talk to do, because for me and John personally, if you watch John over on Twitch, for me and him personally, it's been like a whole 12 hours, not even, since we last talked. So what have you done the past 12 hours, John?
Well, I played some Resident Evil 8. I slept, and then I played some Resident Evil 8, and then I ate a bag of chips, and now we're here.
I thought I was hoping you were going to say you slept again, so it's just like a repeating thing. Yeah, so, and well, you said you got all the achievements. I mean, it was only 2 more, but, you know.
I did, yes. Yeah, I mean, I had, like, played a good bit of the game, like, a while back, but I hadn't actually, like, dedicated, like, oh, I'm going to try to get all the achievements now. Until, I'd say maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And the hardest ones was the freaking mercenaries, which is like you have to, like, waves of enemies almost. So annoying. They require so much of you. You have to pay to win. That's not even a joke. You gotta buy the DLC to win.
Wow. Well, yeah, I don't really play those games, so I can't really relate. Because the most of the games that I play, like, they're smaller games, so like there's only like 20 achievements or something. My biggest achievement thing was Henry Stickmin collection, though, because that one had like 80 something achievements. So
yeah,
felt pretty good about that.
I think the largest amount of achievements I had is in Mass Effect Trilogy. It's considered one game, so all the achievements are like just. It's like the achievements for the fame, and there's like 143 in total, I believe.
Yeah, that's a good amount. But yeah. So with my games, like another thing too is that because John plays a lot of AAA games, whereas I play more like indie games. And indie games might have lesser achievements, but sometimes the achievements are just so utterly hard to get. Like there's this one achievement in Stanley Parable that unless you hack to get to it, you have to literally not play the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe for, I think it's 10 years to get that achievement. Which obviously, if someone's 100% of the game, which I have, because I was not waiting 10 years for that. Because I literally had every other achievement, and I'm like, I'm not waiting 10 years for this. Because like that would be, because that game came out in 2022, I think? So you'd have to wait till 2032 to even get that achievement. That's if you haven't touched the game since, so. Pretty ridiculous. But yeah, so like the indie games kind of have like I shouldn't say harder achievements, because I know some AAA games have pretty hard achievements too, but what I'm more so mean is like precise achievements.
Right. And then there's Boomin, which I think took me like 12 hours total, including the time we did on stream to get all the achievements.
I didn't think it was even less for me, because, like, there's only 10 achievements, and, like, I think there's one for completing the tutorial, one for winning your first map, and, like a lot of them are super simple achievements. There's, I think, like, the hardest one, by technicality, I think, is, like, getting $10,000 or something or whatever, which is not that hard of a game.
That's just a grind.
Yeah. Well, it's a grind, and also, like, if you know your way around the game, because, like, that's how I got mine super fast, is if you know your way around the game, you just get it pretty quickly. Because I just spammed the frick out of, the small house and just won. So, like, one game would take me, like, 3 minutes, and sometimes I would get a safe, so it boosted myself by, like, $300. So, it's pretty simple.
Right.
But, yeah, so, as for me, no, I mean, for me, it's been just a simple week. I've been working on stuff with the podcast, still, because obviously, if you have not seen the episode titled The Situation, go listen to it, otherwise you're going to be super confused. So go listen to that. I mean, if you really only want to hear, I guess, the news part of it, just stick around for the first, like, 30 minutes or so of the episode, and because after that, I think that's when we head into the topic. There's also chapters, so you can also just listen to the chapters. But yeah, that episode kind of highlights pretty important stuff when it comes to the podcast. But there's obviously some bad things in that episode. But then I kind of carried it over with some good things, and those good things have been in the works for a little bit now. So pretty excited about that. But yeah, as for that, me and the boys played some Escape the Backrooms and some the SMP. Mind you, the SMP did not run very well for me, so I only recorded bits and pieces of it. So whatever. But Escape the Backrooms it's hilarious to me that Escape the Backrooms ran better than Minecraft. I mean, Bedrock, I know, is notorious for having more stuff going on with it, so. But unfortunately, Bedrock is really the only way to, record with these guys right now, because I was not paying like $20 for a server or something. I know they're less than that, but I wasn't gonna try and use a third party for that. Or I guess you could have Realms, which I think is even more expensive, so. Yeah, it's one of those things. But, yeah, once I get a actual PC, which once I move, that's the next step. Cause, that's gonna be great. That way I can actually run Minecraft, cause I'll have a separate sort of, thing running OBS. That way OBS is not taking up like 60% of my damn CPU. And so because then the game only has 40 left, not even, because there's other stuff taking the CPU. So, you get what I'm saying. So, it's gonna be much better. Every game's gonna run smoother. I can't wait to run Faz on, like, the max settings. I can't wait to run, like, Boomin on the Escape the Backrooms on max settings. It's gonna be, like, beautiful. Beautiful. But yeah, that's gonna come after I move, which I think by the time you listen to this, I probably already have moved, which is great. But for me, currently, I have not. So yeah, that's just been a simple week, I suppose. Been getting nicer weather though. The weather's been nicer, because for the past couple weeks, there was a couple periods where it was like rainy, there's a couple periods where it was randomly 70, and then there was like 3 weeks ago, there was random, or 2.5 weeks ago, there's a random part where it just snowed on a random day, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This is April, this is redonkulous. But yeah, hopefully spring's here now, and not just taunting us with its ability of being warmer.
Well, taunting you, it's been pretty nice for me.
You shut your mouth over there before I deduct points?
What do you mean? This only does.
I'll deduct the points anyway. But yeah, that's the plan. Speaking about there only being two of us, so John's pick was Axel. So if you missed the Situation episode, Axel was featured in that episode. But that's because John's technical pick was Axel. So sorry if it made it seem like Axel was permanently here. As much as I'd love to do that, he's unfortunately not available, that often. He's available now for recording, but at some point soon he's not going to be available at all. So it wouldn't make any sense to kind of bring him on for like the first couple episodes and then be like, hey guys, he's gone now. Plus, I'm working on getting, some very important people for like to have as a guest. So it's kind of going to work out in that sense anyway. Yeah, so that's the plan. We're going to stick to it as much as possible. But moving on anyway. I have a headline that's very interesting, and I don't know how this is possible. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too confused. So science has discovered a new color. There's been a new color that's added to the game, guys. We've been we had all these colors for a while, this whole rainbow of colors, and but the developers finally added a new one, and it's called Olo, and it's sort of like a it's kind of like a great, I swear I've seen this color before, but apparently it's new. And also they say the picture, underneath the picture it says, that's the closest shade they could get to the new color, because the true color can only be seen by having laser pulses fired into the viewer's eyes. So it's actually a color that we can't even perceive naturally, unless we're literally shoving lasers in our eyes to see it. So that's pretty interesting, but it's called Olo. And it's kind of like a mix of blue and green to me, more so on the super light green side. It's hard to explain. But yeah, just look it up and maybe you'll see it. There's a ghost in my room moving stuff. Hi Ghosty, how you doing? But yeah, so pretty interesting. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like science discovered a new this. And it's like, didn't we already feel like we already unlocked everything, we've already beaten the game. But apparently not.
Yeah, so we unlocked all the colors, but apparently it's super.
Damn it, they had a DLC. I can't believe it.
This is just like Power Wash Simulator all over again.
Exactly. But yeah, so I thought that was a pretty cool headline to have, because it's like, oh, science has discovered a new color. It's like, what? Wait a minute. But yeah. And I didn't have an email at the ready, so I was hoping a creator showcase would show themselves to me. But probably not going to happen in this time frame. So yeah. I mean, there's people that I see that it could, but it would be one of those things. I'm pretty sure I've definitely done one of these people. Definitely not these guys. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I find one at a time. So we'll just skip that section for right now. But that means, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to move on into the topic, which of course is a serious topic. I'm trying to see how I should lead into this one. Cause it's sort of a topic that, you might not even know about. I'm pretty sure you don't know about this unless you're 100 years old. Yeah, so essentially, John, I have a question for you. So when you go to, I don't know, let's just say, for the sake of the argument, you go to Cheesecake Factory, right? Because I know I know you go there sometimes. And you get a nice, juicy burger. Or pasta, or whatever the hell you get there.
Okay.
What is your typical, sort of reaction to the service?
Well, I'm just like, these people, they give me my food. Thank you for going to get my food. If it's like, they're being rude, I guess it depends on how the service is. If they're being cool, and I'm like, alright, thank you. I'm gonna eat my food now. But if they're being like jerks, I'm like, you suck. I'm gonna just not give you the tip.
Well, that's why I said a typical service.
Typically, service is it's pretty good. At least when it's not bad, it's good.
When it's not bad, it's good. Quote from Jeevons. But okay, so let's move away from Cheesecake Factory. Let's say when you're driving down the road, because I know you drive, right? You're driving down the highway or whatever. Let's just say a road, because it's typically on a road. And you drive past a bunch of construction people. Do you? What's your typical reaction when you see construction?
Well, first I think of the Roadwork Academy, classic. And then I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm gonna be a bit slower this time.
Gotcha.
That sucks.
All right, perfect. And let's say, let's move away from that one. Let's say you're, let's say you're going to, let's say you're going to fly somewhere. You want to go to Arizona for some reason. You want to die of heat exhaustion. So you set a course, there, and you go to your gate. And, I think that the Ticketmaster, is that what they're technically called? Well, the ticket person you give your ticket to, they're like, oh yeah, I know I'm verifying that you're being on this plane. How many times have you encountered those types of people? Because I don't know how many times you've actually flown.
Only a couple times. I flew, that to like maybe 4 or 5 times in my life.
Gotcha. So yeah, so what are your typical reaction when you go through that process?
Oh, I'm just like, okay, here's my ticket, and hopefully I'm not suddenly a murderer, and I can get through here.
I hope I'm not suddenly a terrorist.
Yeah, it's always like when I go through security of any kind, I'm just like, did I forget that I own a gun?
Did I forget? Did I? Oh crap! I forgot my pocket knife I hide in my hat.
Oh man!
It's like,
oh man, there's an RPG on my back. I could have seen this coming.
There's an RPG on my back. That's hilarious. But yeah. So okay. So outside of you not outside of your mind trying to convince you're not a social terrorist, so yeah, let's move away from that one. Let's say, this is a perfect example because we've been through this obviously. In school, right? You have a bunch of teachers and stuff. Some might suck, and especially in John's case, because all the teachers just hated him. But like, yeah, let's talk about the good ones though. So, John, without saying their name, because they might still be there, which I guess I've been told you can say their name because technically schools are public buildings, but I still, out of respect, don't want to bombard them. Like, I don't want people to bombard them. So, without saying their name, who was...
You taught the Jeebus Stevens?
You taught the Jeebus Stevens? And, like, it's like 20 years down the line, you have, like, 1 billion followers who are like, we found his teacher, guys! It's like, I don't want that to ever happen, right? So, without saying their name... and if you, depending on how you describe it, I might know who you're talking about. But who is a teacher that you really liked? Just talk about them real quick.
All right. Well, I had my science teacher for biology. He was pretty cool. He was also my track and field coach. He was always trying to like make the classes fun and engaging with like jokes or just generally make the topic interesting instead of just being like, all right, today class we'll be reading page 53 of the science textbook. There will be no talking amongst yourselves, and you will hate it here. That's actually a rule. It wasn't anything like that, you know. So it was pretty fun experience. He even gave me coffee once.
Wow. But yeah, perfect. Yeah, so one of my teachers, he was my BOCES teacher for graphics and game design. And I think Axel actually talked about him just in that situation episode that we talked about. It was during, what was even the topic of that one? It was something important. I mean, I was too fixated on the actual music. That's what it was. So I don't know how we got on the topic of that, but anyway, he was amazing. Probably the best teacher I've ever had. Because he literally would just play Halo with us on certain days. It was we literally found a way to get Halo on the school computers, which first of all, he was okay with that. Second of all, he was not only okay with that, he was like, let me join in, fellas, and it was great. And then there's other attributes that made him amazing as well, but, that's just like, well, that was like one of the main ones, because I'm like, oh my god, this guy's great. And obviously we still learned, but because he was such a fun teacher, we still learned, stuff as well. But yeah, so, John, do you kind of get the idea of where I'm going with this, or are you still kind of lost in the sauce?
I've had an idea of where it might be going, but I'm not quite certain.
You're not quite certain? I see how it is. So let's keep going then. So let's say you get your package. Let's say you order from Amazon, whatever it might be. Yeah, it's like you get the same day delivery because they're doing that now. Let's say you so how you usually get, like, I'm assuming you opt for contactless delivery, right? But let's say you've ordered something that like you need to sign for. Like I think typically devices like phones you need to sign for. Anything that's like over a certain limit, like over a certain amount, I think you need to sign for. So let's say you order the newest iPhone, which I'm sure is like $1,200. If not more. So you have to sign for it. Like, what would your typical reaction be to the Amazon person, like the Amazon delivery guy?
I'd be like, "Oh, cool, you have my package," and then I'd thank him for my package, and then I would sign if I had to, and then that'd be the end of the interaction.
All right. So yeah, there's that. Let's say, I'm trying to think too. Oh yeah, let's say this. So you go to like let's say you go to Disney World, or you go to somewhere else where there's like a kind of like a what are they called? Like a food court type thing, but it's more of like it's instead of like actual brands, it's just like a cafeteria type setting. I'm sure there's an actual word for that, but either way, I'm sure it's just cafeteria. I don't know what I'm talking about, but so you're in a cafeteria, right? It doesn't have to be in a school, just any cafeteria. You're getting some food because you're hungry. What is your typical reaction to the people behind the line working to give you your food?
It's like maybe I'll try to make some small talk and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And thank them for giving me my food and not spitting in it because they hate me. And so I thank them. Pretty thankful for their food and the services.
All right. And you starting to get more of an idea of what's going on here, John, or you're still kind of in the same?
I feel like I might, but I've been wrong several times before, almost constantly, really.
Almost constantly. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna start running out of examples because I just can't think properly. Yeah, so the route I was going down is all of these people are in sort of the working class, right? They're working hard, they're trying to just make ends meet probably, and all that jazz. Now let's go back to, John, I'm just gonna say a date and you're gonna tell me the first thing that comes to mind when I tell you that date. So let me just hang on, wait, just gotta find it, wait. Hold your horses, John. I don't see you holding your horses. You need to be holding those grasped firmly in hand. Okay, there it is.
Firmly grasping it.
Firmly grasp it. Shout out to SpongeBob. But, so 1929, John. What does that tell you?
Well, let's see. I think the Roaring '20s have been over by now, and we're looking at some depression on a large scale. I believe is around this time, unless I'm completely failed history, which is probably. And so things were not good. Things are bad actually around this time period. It's gonna get a lot worse, but it's not great now in that period of time.
Interesting. Okay. So you're saying, but the majority of what you're saying was like the Great Depression was happening, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That is correct. You would be correct that the Great Depression was happening at this time. Because the stock market crashed, which triggered a worldwide economic depression that lasted, I think, until like the 1930s, or I think it was 1931 to be specific. I think that's when it stopped. But even still, it was happening during 1929. Now, in 1929, because of the Great Depression, a lot of stuff happened. So, to be more precise about it, a lot of people were overlooked during the Great Depression. And some of those people were probably people that I've already mentioned, like the cafeteria person. I mean, they didn't have Amazon back then, so I guess the mailman, I guess, would be more accurate to that time. Or the newspaper boy, or whatever you want to go during that time period, whatever. The food service people, and all that stuff, whatever, like again, whatever might have been existing during that time. They were called something. This was after the fact, obviously. But all these people were called something, John, and it's kind of sad to hear this name that they were called. But what do you think their name was? These group of people that were kind of overlooked during the Great Depression.
Well, my immediate thought was poor. But I mean that was kind of everybody, so maybe not good.
Yeah,
that's the point.
You are incorrect. Do you have another guess, or?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember hearing a term referred to working class people in the Great Depression that's derogatory. I don't know. I don't remember hearing that.
Well, I wouldn't say derogatory. It's more just sad.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think I know this one.
So the title they were given was The Forgotten. Because since they were overlooked, they were kind of like people would just go about because everything was so garbage at that time, people would kind of just go about their day. They wouldn't thank the mailman. They wouldn't do kindness was kind of limited, during that time. And because these people were so overlooked, they were titled The Forgotten. which is really sad of a title because that's just like no one ever wants to be forgotten. First of all, second of all, like to be a whole entire group of the working class to be called that, like that's kind of just sad. And so that's what they were called during that time because no one really paid much attention to them. Even though they were working their absolute butts off just to make ends meet, no one was really paying much attention to them. Now, obviously, I'm sure back then there were some good apples that were, but the majority of people weren't, and that's why they were given this title. You'd be surprised to hear that not much has honestly changed, with that title. Now, obviously, they're not forgotten, now, but in terms of the actual respect element, nothing much has changed. A lot of people go through their day-to-day lives, greeting these people, or like, well, not greeting, meeting these people, and, they're taking their service from them or whatever, and they just kind of keep going about their day without a second thought in the world. So John, with being completely honest, have you done that before?
I suppose I probably have. I guess I don't interact with every single person I think. I'm like, I'm gonna remember this vividly in detail whenever like I can get a package in the mail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sadly, I would say so. Like I try my best to be like, to be kind and be like, hey, how you doing? I hope you have a good day. To thank them for their services and stuff like that. But something I forget because I'm busy. I got a lot on my brain.
That's fair. And I was a bit worried if you had said no, because I think we've all done that before, where you have not paid much attention to these people that are giving you a service of some kind. I'm just going to be using that term because obviously the working class goes far beyond anything ever. Because I'm just going to be like, well, it's not just cafeteria workers, it's not just the mailman, it's not just the teachers. It's the entire group that we're talking about here. And I know personally that especially teachers, like they're super underpaid. Like a lot of these people are, but teachers, especially because they're literally building the next generation, and we're just like, yeah, here's 5 cents. Here you go. It's all yours. Keep the change, by the way. And it's just like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. I think actually in the top 10 most underpaid jobs, teachers like number 5 or something. It's not like it's something that you're not surprised by, because it's like, yeah, I knew they were super underpaid, but like to hear that they're in the top 5, it's like only 4 things are beating them. Which is like, I mean, those 4 things are probably still super underpaid. But so it's just kind of sad that the term "the forgotten" is a sort of a thing that just kind of happened, and it's still kind of sort of continuing in 2025. Where a lot of people, especially the newer generations, kind of just don't care about anybody but themselves, and so they don't thank the people that they're getting their fruit from. They don't thank the teachers that are helping them become better people. Now again, there's bad apples out there that are bad teachers, bad mailmen, bad cafeteria workers, whatever. I'm not talking about them, because that's only like a 1% area in that group. I'm talking about the other 99% of people that are working their butts off, pouring their heart and soul into their jobs. I'm talking about those people, because those are the people that truly go undervalued and that are honestly forgotten about in our day-to-day life. I say lightly the forgotten because obviously they're there. You know that they're doing something for you. It's that you forgot to actually acknowledge how important of a role they're playing. So that's where I'm kind of leaning more towards the forgotten, because before the forgotten, that was actually people just forgot that they even mattered, because everything was garbage at the time, so people didn't care about anything. But in 2025, I'm more so talking about, it's less of that because we know that they exist, but it's more so that we forgot to acknowledge how big of a role they're actually playing. But John, do you want to add something to this?
Yeah, I mean, it unfortunate, and you even got in today's day and age, like the people at movie theaters, with the Minecraft movie, they're like making a mess, and they probably like, oh, someone will clean it up. It's fine. It's not my problem. But then there's this underpaid person making minimum wage has to clean the entire theater because everybody made a huge mess and then didn't care about them and then left. obviously that sucks, and that should happen.
Fair. Yep. Yeah. So another thing I want to kind of go over as well is that I want to read you a quote. And so people who go through things for you, people who pour their heart and souls into the jobs because they care, should be valued and embraced. You should look them in the eye and say thank you. So John, what do you think about that quote there?
I quite agree with it. I think you should, if someone is, working hard to, there's, if we talk about food service people. If I went to the Cheesecake Factory and I got service and they were doing an amazing job, my water was always filled. They were making sure everything tasted good. They were got my food to me quickly, and I was just like, oh man, I'm out of here. I'm not even gonna pay attention to that person. They get no tip. It's like that'd be kind of a dick move. They worked so hard and they didn't even get any appreciation. So typically in that sense, I would maybe give them a slightly generous tip and be like, hey, thank you. That was some great service.
Right. But yeah, so that's exactly true. I kind of, so truth be told, I actually went to, for the sake of the podcast, an unnamed coffee shop. We'll go with that. So I went to this unnamed coffee shop, got a coffee because it was literally 99 cents. I'm like, that's basically free. And this was a large coffee, mind. It wasn't even a small coffee, because you might be like, 99 cents must have been a small, because, people can't afford, the companies can't afford to just give away free coffee. But no, it was a large coffee. So this unnamed place, sponsor, please. You don't know who you are, but sponsors anyway.
Do we sell 99 large coffees? Oh, we might.
We must have been. They're talking about us. Get them. But yeah, no. So when I go there, that's fast. It's like fast food style, right? And so they're trying to just get through the day because they're super busy. Especially the place I go to, they're super busy because they're on a super big main road. And every time I go there, I try my best to say thank you and I appreciate you guys for what you do, obviously. Now, I just say I appreciate you. I don't do the whole speech thing, because I know they got to get back to work, obviously. But I always try to make an effort to be able to do that. Because most people, I even saw this when I was in there, while I was waiting for my stuff. This person ordered something, just gave them the order. Once they got the food, they just left. They didn't even say thank you. It's like, okay. Wow. Right. And to be honest, I try not to profile people, but they were super young, and I kind of figured they would. So it was kind of one of those things that it's just sad to see, because I can tell that they're being underappreciated and stuff. And think of how they feel, right? Think of how if I was working at this unnamed coffee shop, and I'm like, oh, I really like this coffee I just made for this person. They're gonna love it, and then I give it to them, and they just leave, and they don't say anything. And it's like, okay, well, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But, so yeah, it's just kind of sad to see, and you do see it in the real world. That's the problem. That's why I think the Forgotten even kind of stems to even to today. Again, less so on the fact of what I said before, but more so on the fact that we're forgetting how we should be embracing them and realizing how big of a role they're actually playing. So, as well as the fact, I want to read another quote. Where'd it go? Okay, yeah, here's this one. So this one's specifying of teachers specifically, but it is kind of this is kind of talking about the same type of idea. It's a funny thing about teachers. People don't often realize that without the lesson, without the education, no one will learn anything at all. There would be no growth, no progress. There would be no doctors or lawyers or anything at all. So, John, you got something to say about that?
Yeah, I would say, I am someone who definitely values teachers a lot, because my mom was a teacher, my sister is a teacher, my best friend is about to become a teacher. Teachers are great, and they definitely don't get enough recognition for a lot of what they get, because if you think about those memes where it's oh, you have a pizza party at your school, and then it's you have this tiny thin slice of pizza, and you're like, oh, that sucks. But then you think about that, your teacher paid for that, and with their own money that they earned working as super hard to make their lessons enjoyable and to not like murder children who are just like making a mess and being rude to them and just all around being jerks as children tend to be. And so yeah, I would agree that the teachers definitely don't get as much respect as they deserve. Now, I've complained quite lengthy at the bad teachers I've had in my course of education. But, you know, they were bad teachers. That doesn't mean all teachers are bad and that all teachers should be complained about all the time. It's just that those particular ones kind of sucked.
That's fair. But yeah, and like I said earlier, there's always going to be bad apples in this group we're talking about, but they make up like the 1%, because typically everyone else is fine. But yeah, so that one's specifically talking about teachers, but it kind of encompasses the whole thing, because, if like we forgot these people like existed, if we didn't really acknowledge them, then like we would like our society would be done. It'd be donezo, because like you're talking about the entire working class. And like if the entire working class is forgotten, then the country or the world is forgotten at that point, because it goes both ways. Like if you can't have one without the other, and it's one of those things that like it's unfortunate that people just don't acknowledge these people. It's sad to see, and you should try your best to encourage it, but you're not going to change everybody. But with this quote specifically. It's like, it was saying that, like, without the education, without the progress, I think I like that line the most, without the progress, there would be no lawyers, no, teachers, no nothing at all. And I think that's very important to note, because without progress, that's correct, there's nothing, because if we don't have progress, we're just going backwards or staying the same way, nothing's gonna continue, at that point. So, it's just, it's one of those things that you gotta make sure that we're making progress, and obviously there's people out there that are attempting to do that, but it's less so about the people attempting to do that, and more so about, what are you doing about it? Because you can't control what other people are doing about it. That's their business, and that's what they're doing. Some people choose to do something about it, some people are like, I don't care if the world burns, who cares? Right? There's gonna be people like that. You're not gonna, try and fix those people. So what you can do is control what you do about it. So yeah, so John, like back to the questions, now that you kind of know what's going on, when you get a great server at Cheesecake Factory, what is your typical reaction about that?
Well, I'll be like, hey, thank you for your, like, being a good server. I really appreciate it. All the food is amazing. Even though that has nothing to do with them, because they didn't cook it, but it's still good to say, you know. And be like, hey, you did a great job, and I hope you have a great day, and then they'll tip. That is, I think, what is it, like, 5% is, like, the baseline one, I think, is where, like, if you don't leave that much, it's like, you're kind of a dick. But,
yeah.
If I'll be like, oh, maybe I'll leave a bit of a larger one, because I think when we went to, Cracker Barrel together, the service that day was amazing. They were like, everything was out really quickly, it was hot, it was good, it was right, and so I was like, hey, thank you, and I think I left, like, a fairly large tip, just because I didn't have, like, a whole lot of cash on me, but I was like, you know what, that's fair, I'm not gonna try to weasel out of giving a good tip, because this person definitely deserved it.
Yeah, no, we had all separate. I think another thing that they also did for us was we all had separate checks, because typically most restaurants will only be able to split the check twice. So it's like like this group of people, like since there's 4 of us, we could have done it like where it's like me and you had a check, and then the other 2 people had a check. So like they still let us do the 4-way check though, which was nice, because to me it was just simpler to do that way. But yeah, I left, my meal was only like $11. I just got breakfast. I forgot what it was. It wasn't bad at all. It was really cheap actually. And I left, I think, $6 or $7. So it was like almost 50% of what the thing was. And, as far as I'm aware, if I counted correctly, the tip was almost $30 between all 4 of us. And I'm pretty sure our bills maybe didn't even equal $30. Maybe they did if you actually combined all 4 of them. But, You get what I'm saying. We made sure to leave a good tip that day because we wanted to show our appreciation to the worker that was there. Because like John said, it was fast. Like the reason we went to Cracker Barrel was because, first of all, it's pretty good food. You know, it's great. It's good food for a chain place, I should say. They have a lot of good stuff. But I also went there because I'm like, well, you know, it's a sit-down place, so it'll probably take some time so we can get a chance to talk and stuff. And, you know, granted we did, but, like, it was like 5 minutes later, our food came out. We're like, oh, damn, all right. And we still obviously talked, while we were doing that. And we, hung out a little bit after. But it was super speedy. It was hot when it came out. At least mine was. No one else complained, and John just said his was, so I'm assuming they were. It was, great service. The person came to check on us a couple times. So yeah, it was just a great service. And we wanted to make sure that they were aware of that, by leaving a good tip and, saying thank you and like all the typical stuff you should be doing. So let's going off of, people you kind of, speak to directly. What do you say about delivery people, John? What is your typical reaction? I mean, obviously, I know you probably get mostly contactless delivery. But even with the contactless delivery, I know like on Amazon specifically, it says like you can rate your driver or whatever. So like, what type of feedback do you typically leave?
If it's in person, and also if it's like if I had a contact delivery and it was like maybe like raining. Or like it was just, it seemed like it was like not as, or it's like on a holiday. I'd be like, hey, thank you for coming out all this way during this weather. Stay safe, and I appreciate it. I think I've had that exact conversation with people at least 2 or 3 times. And then if it's non-contact, I'll be like, usually if it's like 4 or 5 stars. If it was like I bought this like 2 months ago, and it still hasn't arrived. Then I'm like, maybe I'll give it like a 4-star, maybe a 3-star. but typically I try to give a good review because I know that for some people they're like they could get reprimanded if they don't get a good review. And so I try to like keep that in mind if and I always try to give a good review because I'm like, I don't want anyone to be losing their jobs because I hit 3 stars instead of 4 stars.
Right. Yeah. So I think especially with the food service people, like whether it's fast food, fast casual, waiters, it doesn't matter. This is like the entire group of those people. And I guess I'm a little biased just because I currently work in that industry, but I did come up with this topic way before I had a job. So I mean, I can't prove that by any means, but I did. So the thing with like the food service people is those people you interact with the most usually. Whether you're going out to restaurants, even technically when you're ordering through DoorDash or Grubhub, the driver is technically delivering the food for you, and the people that were behind the counter made your food and stuff like that. So even on the minimal level, you still interact with them the most out of like any working class people, unless you're literally in school right now, then obviously that's not true. But I'm talking about like I guess adults that are not in college right now. I guess that's kind of like the main, because if you're in college and you're usually, I mean, unless you're on Zoom or something, but even still, you're technically engaging with them. But those people are considered by the majority of people the most underappreciated people in our day-to-day lives. Now, obviously, teachers are the most underappreciated in terms of just life in general. But statistically, it was given to the food service people, which is super sad to see because they're literally giving you your food. They're giving you your nutrition that you need that day, or your freaking $18 coffee that you need every morning, whatever it might be. They're the ones preparing that for you. And they don't even get a simple like thank you sometimes. They don't even get a simple acknowledgement at all even. So it's just kind of sad to see how that's working out in 2025 currently. And what I will say is, as someone who works in the food industry, I do have this experience to let you know. Is I always make sure, because the place I work at, we try our best to excel at service. Because obviously, the better you are at service, the more likely the customer is to come back. And typically what I do, because a lot of the night, like 99% of the people that come into the restaurant are amazing people, and so I always try to match their energy. So if they're super excited, I'm super excited. If they're super, like, just happy in general, I'm super happy in general, right? So I'm really good at, like, kind of matching their energy. I know there's a name for that, but I can't think at all right now. But because of that fact, sometimes naturally, if someone comes in and they're grumpy or they're, like, upset about something that happened that day, I kind of understand that, and so I what's the word? I kind of, like, leech off of that, so I started to become a little upset. Not at them, but just my mood shifts in general. So even that slight change from that person affected me in some way, right? And that happens whether you guys know it or not, to every single food person, or every single teacher, every single whoever person in the working class we're talking about. That happens every time. Now, not to say that everyone's matching your energy, because most people aren't, but even the people that aren't doing that, they might be having a crappy day. They are probably working their butts. This might be their 8th hour on their shift right now, and you're just kind of being nasty. Maybe you're not being nasty, but maybe you're just kind of ignoring them. Maybe you just say a simple, like, you just kind of, like, tell them your order, then you're just like, alright, I'm out of here, type of thing. Like, we've all done it. Like, it's no shame in saying you've done it, because we've all done it. If you say you haven't done it, then you'd be a liar. Because I'm pretty sure you have. Now again, you probably weren't trying to be rude. You probably weren't trying to be dismissive about it, but naturally, sometimes, even when you're having a bad day, you're kind of like, I just want to get out of here. It's been a long day for me too. I just want to get my food and run. Like, I want to go home to my kids and my family, whatever, which is obviously fine. But at the same time, so does the person that you're talking to behind the counter. They want to go home too. They want to go home probably even more so than you do, because, like I said, this could be hour 8. This could be hour 9. Some people work 9-hour shifts, which is crazy. Some people work 2 jobs. Some people work 3 jobs. So it's like one of those things that you really gotta understand how hard these people are working for your day-to-day, for society to function on a day-to-day basis. Think of how many people right now in this very moment are working around the clock, to make sure people are happy, people are fed, people are on the right flight, people are being taught the correct things, all of that stuff. Like, think of how many people are actually doing that right now. It doesn't matter that you could be listening to this at 3:30 in the morning. And sure, it might be 3:30 in the morning for you, but it's not for a lot of other people. So, just talking about the entire world, think of how many possible people right now are working their butts off, putting their heart and soul into their job, because, like I said in the quote there, they care about their job. So they want to make sure they're doing it right. They're putting all that effort in just to be ignored by a good majority of people. And it's, like I said before, it's really sad to see that that's still kind of a thing. Because in 1929 it was a thing, much, much worse granted. But, it's still sort of lingering today. And it's been lingering kind of ever since. Now obviously, unfortunately, the way the world works, it's never gonna be gone. Unfortunately, there's always gonna be that kind of a activity that's going around, but we can always make a difference ourselves. So you can make a difference by just saying thank you. Like, even a simple thank you might make their day. Or you can say, like, the way I do it is I say thank you, I appreciate you, or like something along the lines of that. So that's kind of the lesson, so to speak, in this episode, is to just remember how hard these people are working, and like, just remember that, you know, maybe they're a little bit grumpy, but just like, don't try and pin that against them, because, you know, honestly, they might be grumpy for a specific reason. And I saw this one image that I'm trying to pull up here. I probably can't show it to John just yet, because Discord is stupid. But yeah, okay, here it is. It's a picture of a highway, and it's backed up traffic, and there's like 50 cars. But each car has a subtitle. And so this one car says, he just lost his wife. There's another car that says, they just got fired from their job. There's another car that says they're on the way to the hospital, or like something like that. There's another car that says, what does it say? They're going to a job interview. That's what it says. There's one that says, they're the only one left in their family, which that's really sad. Then there's one that says, their dreams just got crushed. Or like, you get the idea. There's like all these different cars, all these different stories in these one little, all in this one little car here. And like, you don't think about that, because when you're in traffic, you're like, oh my god, people, get out of my way! I'm trying to get to work, and like all that stuff. There's one on here that says they're just trying to get to work or whatever. or they're trying to pick up their kids from school, like all these different stories. Like, but you don't think about that. You're just driving. You're trying to get to work. You're trying to get to wherever you're trying to go. You're stuck in traffic. You're angry at the world because it's like, I hate traffic. Everyone hates traffic, right? And you probably naturally end up like trying to honk at people to get them out of the way, or like to make them move faster, whatever it might be. But yeah, John, do you wanna jump right in here?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like for example, there was a time where I was in the hospital. Like, it was not a good time for me specifically, and I was there for a few days. So I had people would come in and like take out the trash and do a little bit of cleaning. And I could be like, "Oh, my life sucks. I'm just gonna be rude to this person or ignore them." But that would be like really rude, and they could be going through something and that I don't know about. And so I was just like, "Hey, thank you for taking out the trash, and hope the rest of your shift goes well." And like that sort of thing. It's like they're doing their job. They're like to make my stay at the hospital a little bit better because it sucked because I'm in the hospital. That a place people don't typically want to be.
Mm.
And so, if they had came in, they'd be like, "Oh, I gotta sleep in this room again." And they'd be like, "Oh, this guy, he's such a jerk. I don't even want to interact with this guy." And then it would suck for them. And they got like 8 more hours of that or something like that, you know? When it's super easy, just be like, "Hey, how you doing? Thank you for taking the trash out, and hope you're doing well." That's so. It's not hard to do that. It's not hard to be kind.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's true, right? It's like hospital workers. Obviously, they get paid a good amount, luckily, because they're literally saving lives. Or at least that's what they're supposed to be doing. But even there, like there's like the janitors. Think of the janitors for hospitals. They gotta be absolutely working their butt off, because in a hospital, if there's one thing that's unsanitized, that could break out. That could break out, and like all patients get sick or something like that. It can be terrible, right? So they gotta make sure everything's super sanitized, everything's super clean, all that jazz. So think of the janitors that work in hospitals. Like, they have to be absolutely working their butt off. And I guarantee every single one of us, myself included, has walked right past the janitor and said nothing. Said absolutely nothing, didn't even look at him. You saw in your peripheral that they were there, but I'm talking about you actually looked at them. And I guarantee we've all done that. We've walked right past them, continued on with our day, went to go get our coffee from the vending machine or whatever else we were doing in the hospital. So like, yeah, it's just like, I know that's happened, and unfortunately, I've done it myself. I've not in a hospital specifically, but in the school. So yeah, it's just unfortunately sad to see that happens, because they're working their butts off, I'm sure. And janitors, I know for a fact, because I know someone in my family that works as a janitor. Granted, he's worked his way up for a good amount of years, but even he's underpaid. So it's just like, I can't imagine just like the starting out janitors that are like working their absolute butts off to make sure everything's sparkly clean and stuff like that. Because I work in the food industry, but like it's a job where I'm doing everything, so I do clean as well. And I only gotta clean like a small little portion of the place. Whereas if you're a janitor, like especially in a hospital, you're designated to entire floors or entire section of rooms or whatever. So yeah, and these types of people are just like, people just walk past them on a daily basis. And I don't know how they feel about that, because like that, I'd be super sad. Like, I'm just mopping this floor. No one said hi to me today. Like, that'd be super sad, man. But yeah, so that's kind of the lesson. So the overall kind of message is, if you see a janitor, just say hi to him. That's all that you really need to do to make their day, probably, because I guarantee very few people, if any, have said hi to them today. Or like if you when you're getting your coffee at Starbucks, don't just take your coffee and beat it. Say thank you, or say thank you for what you guys do, or whatever. Whatever you want to do to say to them, that doesn't matter, as long as you're saying it nicely and you're genuine about it. Same thing with teachers. Say, just walk up to your teacher after class and just say, "Hey, I appreciate you coming in today," or whatever. Like something like that. Like, they probably never heard that in a while, or if they have heard that at all. Like, it's just one of those things that you got to make sure that you're appreciating people like that, because they are putting their heart and soul into their job, and they deserve to be acknowledged in that regard. So, but John, did you have any final messages?
No, I mean, I kind of summed everything up. Like I said, it's not very difficult to just be kind to people and respect people who are working their butt off to make your life a little bit better, or like teachers, even like if they aren't doing that, you don't know what's going on in their life, like I have one of my teachers, I'm not gonna say their name, has like cancer, and they are still working their butt off to fight cancer while teaching. Like they're like, they could just be like, oh, they could go to the Walter White route and be like, I guess I'll cook meth now. They didn't do that. At least I don't think they did. And they're trying to make the classes interesting. They're trying to like work their butt off with the little time they have between teaching their second job and going to chemotherapy. So it's like if people were like just being rude to them, it's kind of like you don't even know that. Like I know that because they're pretty open professor, but like maybe somebody else who just like sees them in the hallway, they're like, oh, I'm gonna be rude to this person, or I'm just gonna ignore this person, and when like they're going through quite a lot.
It's true. So yeah, that's probably kind of where we're gonna end today's episode. I think that's a good message to leave on. And like we were saying too, that it's just very important to make sure you're appreciating the people that deserve to be appreciated and that kind of stuff. So yeah, the TLDR, don't be a douchebag. Don't be a douchebag.
Yes.
But yeah, well, so John, looking at your points, man, you lost like a bajillion points, but guess what? You're still the winner, so congratulations. Yeah, I just took like a billion points because you're bald and you didn't drink drink any prune juice yet today, so I had to take away like half a billion for that. So like typical point deduction stuff.
You gotta give it up. That's how it goes sometimes.
But you have an accomplishment though, because even though you lost all those points, you still won the episode. So good job. You might have been the only contestant, but you still won. So
Hey, won by default. My favorite way to win.
Won by default. That reminds me of I don't know what show it is, but it's technically what kind of started. Technically correct. The best kind of correct. But yeah. So that'll do it for today's episode, guys. So thank you guys so much for listening. We hope we provoked a conversation, made you laugh a long way. You can find me over on YouTube at Flabdexy Gaming. I am on Twitch, but I'm not doing anything at the moment. I'll probably do something in 10 years' time when I actually have time to do so. We'll see. I don't know. And you can find John in 3 places now. Isn't that crazy? You can find him over on Twitch at JeebensFeebens. No surprise there because you've been told that before. You can find him over on YouTube at JeebensFeebens as well, and you can find him on YouTube twice, because he's just that much of a gamer, at JeebensFeebens VODs, where he uploads his VODs. I would say I even watch his VOD channel more than his old one, so, because I just love watching the VODs that he still has, because he actually uploaded Undertale that I've been working my way through right now. So I'm currently seeing it's behind me right now. It's 100, wow, I can't speak. 1 hour and 50 minutes in, so pretty exciting. There's Golf with Your Friends that's on there. There's some solo stuff that he does. I don't watch those because it's just like I don't know what the game is, so it's just like I don't know what's going on here. He's playing as Batman, I know that, but I don't know anything else.
Right.
Plus, like what I'll do is like I go to John's Twitch to talk to him, but I literally don't pay attention to the game at all. So it's like when it's just him, it's like oh well, I can't speak to him though because it's like I'd have to do a time travel mechanic to do that. But he's got all sorts of fun stuff over there, so go check him out at JeebensFeebens VOD. That's how it's titled, I believe. Yeah, you can check out the Patreon though. So we have a Patreon now called the Provokers Podcast. Typical, you probably figured that. But we have all that stuff over there. We have the tiers. So you have like tiers from 1 to 100. Pretty cool stuff. The more you pay, the more you get, obviously, out of it. And then we also have a extended cut episodes, which are sort of like mini little 30 to 40 minute episodes where there's no topic really. Well, there's a topic, I guess, but there's no host really. There's no point system. There's no winner loser. It's really just solely focused on the topic, and we play some games over there. The original Wavelength and the original Towers game are over there, so if you want to go check those out, feel free. The first 5 are $3, so you can kind of dip your toes in the water, see if you even like that style of content. If you don't, then whatever is only $3. But if you do, then you can keep getting the other ones. So pretty cool. But that's gonna do it. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.